There are now powerful techniques for literally training the brain. In my own research, we've used brain training, referred to as neurofeedback, to help addicts go into an alpha theta state that helps them deal with trauma and also helps them become more focused, getting tremendous results that we've published. And more recently, I've used a brain training approach of neurofeedback to heal Chemobrain in breast cancer survivors. And so here with Joe, we talk about other approaches that he's used that help energize the brain and shift the brain into other states more powerful to help in the healing process. And not only in the healing process, but to restore the brain's ability to self-regulate. So here, listen to this next segment.
So we gathered a team of neuroscientists and we wanted to measure people's brains before they came to the event, put them through 4 days of training or 4.5 days of training, and then see if their brain changed at the end of 4 days or 4.5 days. And I wanted to see the changes weren't just in their mind, they were in their brain. And then we did something really cool and we started looking at quantitative EEGs is how we started. Now we're doing fMRIs and all kinds of things, but we started seeing that people's brains were changing in 4 days. And then we started looking at real-time measurements to demystify the process of what it looks like, what change actually looks like. And we ran into some really profound real-time brain scans that were saying that there was some type of arousal that was taking place in the nervous system that was merging the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, but the arousal wasn't fear, the arousal wasn't pain. The arousal wasn't anger or aggression. The arousal was kind of like an ecstasy or some type of elevated emotional state. And we saw that in these beautiful, beautiful patterns in the brain in high gamma brainwave states. And we're not talking about a little gamma, we're talking about 200 standard deviations, 300 standard deviations outside of normal. And 3 standard deviations outside of normal is 2% of the population. So you're looking at an enormous amount of energy in the brain, an enormous amount of coherence in the brain that's all orderly and all coherent, and then something really unusual, which is the autonomic nervous system. The limbic brain is on fire. And as you know, that limbic brain is the seat of the autonomic nervous system, and it's about regulating. And stress is autonomic dysregulation. Somehow there was this kind of autonomic regulation, and that autonomic regulation was really sending more coherent information to the cells and tissues in the body. And we started seeing people having very specific biological upgrades as a result of it.
Just share with the audience what you're referring to when you say gamma.
Okay, so we're hanging out right now, and our brain is busy trying to create meaning between what's going on inside of us and what's going on outside of us. And when you're conscious and awake, your brainwave patterns are in this kind of beta brainwave pattern. You're conscious and you're awake and you're integrating all your sensory information, and it takes energy to do that. Switch on the stress response, you go in the high beta. Why? Because you get more alert. You need more arousal to pay attention. That's high beta is good for the short term, but some people get stuck there. We teach people how to actually slow their brain waves down. And when they do, and they can begin to change their brain waves from beta to alpha, and we've discovered how to do that, their brain stops analyzing and stops talking to them. The critic in their mind kind of goes away, and they start seeing in images and pictures or get super creative. That's the imaginary state. And that's the state we learn in. That's the state we consolidate memories in. And some people get so relaxed that they can move into the state called theta, where their body's actually sleeping in a light rest, a light sleep, and their mind is awake. And the door between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind is wide open. We're very programmable to information or suggestible. A lot of times when we see this state of theta, what follows is that theta becomes the wave that begins to cause waves to carry waves, and theta starts carrying alpha, and alpha starts carrying beta, and beta starts carrying high beta, and the oscillation of high beta, there's a frequency above that, and that's called gamma. And when people go into gamma, they're super conscious, they're super aware. It's a greater level of awareness, and so when you go into gamma, that kind of heightened awareness tends to enhance energy in the brain. So we started seeing waves carrying waves, and that's called resonance. And when you got resonance and waves are carrying waves, energy builds, because the interference of those waves built bigger waves. And so we started seeing these patterns started increasing in the brain. And I think that's what started to produce those high theta states. So we've done 18,000 brain scans. And now we run week-long events around the world, and we're looking to see what type of changes could take place in 7 days. So we partnered with the HeartMath Institute. We've got over 10,000 HRV measurements. We've done blood analysis. We partner with the University of California, San Diego, and we measure 2,882 different metabolites in the blood before a week-long event and after a week-long event. And we've discovered really profound things about epigenetic changes that could take place literally in 7 days. We've done DNA cheek scrapes and samples, and we got a lot of data on studying DNA. We do an enormous amount of research around mitochondrial function. And as an example, we can take the plasma of people that are advanced meditators who have some type of change in their biology as a result of that brain state. There's information in that blood that wasn't there before. And that information, if we could take the plasma of the blood of those people, and we can put it in the presence of a uterine cancer cell or a pancreatic cancer cell or a breast cancer cell, is it possible that information could actually change the gene expression in those cells? And the mitochondrial function goes down by 70% in the cancer cells. And cancer cells love to multiply and move. And if you take mitochondrial function away, they can't move and they can't multiply. So we take the information from the blood of advanced meditators, and we expose it to some of the genes that are associated with Alzheimer's disease, and it downregulates those genes pretty quickly. If we take a virus, I know this is controversial, but we started looking to see if the information in the blood of these people could cause a resistance to a spike virus. And lo and behold, we isolated the protein that actually inhibits the virus from entering the cell, and we have electron microscopy to show that there's a very strong resistance from the environment. And so we're starting to we've done microbiome studies. We have probably the largest microbiome sample that's ever been done on over 1,600 people, pre and post, and we see in 7 days, the amazing part is in 7 days, those changes in the microbiome that are associated with cancer growth. There's a very significant phylum of microbiome that are correlated with cancer growth, and you see the dramatic reduction in that. You see the microbiome that enhances response to therapy, to cancer therapies, actually improved. And so we've looked at urine now. We're looking at breast milk. We're looking into tears. We're studying the language of transformation. And so we've got all of this amazing data to show, like a drug study is pretty much 25% at its best causality. Our data is between 75 and 85% cause and effect. And that tells us that the nervous system is the greatest pharmacist that there is in the world. And we're super excited about a lot of the work that we're doing, because it's directly related to inflammation. It's directly related to pain, and it's directly related to longevity. And so, along with a lot of this evidence, Stephen, that we've seen in the research that we've been doing, we studied telomeres. We saw that people do regular meditation for 60 days, that 74% of them, their telomeres will actually lengthen, which is pretty good data there as well. But if you look at that evidence, it's really profound and it's really important. But what's equally important in terms of the evidence is the testimony that we're now seeing in the community of people that are actually understanding what they're doing and why they're doing it. We've seen stage 4 cancers that have metastasized to bones, to organs, to tissues, go into complete reversal. The PET scans showed absolutely no cancer in the bone any longer. So blindness, deafness, MS, ALS, muscular dystrophy, spinal cord injuries, kind of crazy times where people are actually making significant changes in their health.